Hi, I'm Mr. Wahlberg, and I'm glad you're here. We're back in Unit 2 of Theory and Practice, and now we're in Part 4 of Tournaments and Disadvantages. These subjects aren't actually related topics, but they're both important parts for St. James Academy debate. We have two objectives today. You should be able to discuss what happens at a debate tournament. You should be able to examine the parts of a disadvantage argument and its role in policy debate. Let's begin in Roman numeral number 12. So, in the beginning of a tournament, what you need to do is to check where and when to arrive. This will be in our weekly emails or whatever the last email was that comes out. Are we meeting at St. James Academy and we're traveling together, or are we meeting at the tournament site itself? Those will vary, and it depends on where the tournament is held and what the date is and kind of when all those pieces are. So find out where you're supposed to be. Are we meeting at St. James and rolling out, or are we meeting at the tournament site? If it's a get yourself there tournament, arrive on time or whatever the time is posted, and find the coach in the lunchroom. This oftentimes is me, but it might be any of the other coaches on our staff, or maybe a St. James teacher that's going to go sponsor the team for us, whatever it is. But if it's a get yourself there tournament, go to the lunchroom, because that's where we will be setting up our camp. We'll get your computer onto the internet. We'll check tabroom.com to see if the round schedules have been posted yet. Some tournaments don't use tabroom.com. Those will get whatever the tournament assignments are. So whatever it is, we'll get you on the internet and see what the schedule looks like. Some old school tournaments don't use tabroom.com, so we'll use paper schedules for those meets, but the method is fairly similar for both of them. There's usually some downtime at the beginning of the tournament. We're getting all checked in. This is, we'll find maybe a semi-private hallway and go practice some speech warm-ups, and the first affirmatives will get a chance to reading their 1ACs to a locker somewhere. Get a chance to get out there and go warm up and get ready and get your voice into debate speech. When all the schedules are posted, you'll see the whole lunchroom pretty much get up and leave all at once, because more or less everybody gets their schedule at the same time, and they will get up and go. Where are they going? They're going to their debate rooms. The debate rooms are just the classrooms around the school. Half the teams are going to be affirmative. The other half are going to be negative. Don't worry which side is your favorite. You'll get a chance to do both, because in the next round you will probably switch, and you'll either be the affirmative or the negative that you were the round before. So in the first round, when you get to your room, please don't go into the classroom until there is an adult judge in the room. This is pretty much a universal rule in all debate tournaments that don't go in until there's an adult there. That will help you, because the teachers that go and teach in that classroom on Monday morning, they're all picky about, oh no, somebody moved my stapler. And you could say like, hey, I didn't even go in there until there was an adult in there. That kind of helps protect your bacon on it. And the tournament hosts just like it that better anyway. So when you get your, when you go to your room, don't go in until there's an adult judge in the room. Just hang politely in the hall. Go make friends with the other debaters. Both St. James debaters on our squad that might be around, but also the debaters in other schools. Go talk to them. Hey, did you ever watch Pokemon or whatever it is? I don't know. Go make some friends. In this moment, I want you to be the best version of yourself. Talk about fun and polite things. Don't. There's no reason to complain. That's not the best version of yourself. Do not talk about other rounds that you've been in. Don't talk trash on other debaters. You are going to be the best version of yourself there while you're waiting for that round to start. If you are out in the hall when the judge arrives, go ahead and stand up and collect your things and enter the room. Now, you need to be cool and confident on your way in, which might require you to pretend to be that you're cool and confident. You can fake it till you make it. You have my permission to go do so. You might need to write your name on the ballot. Some tournaments have the names pre-filled on the ballot. Sometimes you're going to go do them. But you'll go into the room when the judge gets there, and you'll offer, like, hey, do I need to sign in on the ballot? And it might be pre-filled, or you might need to go put your name in the right spot. Introduce yourself to the judge. You say, I'm Sally Sallingsworth, and I'm your first negative speaker. Sometimes you'll see people reach out and shake hands with the judge. I'll tell you that there's no reason that you need to go shake the judge's hand. Adults just don't want to touch you. Don't take that personally, but I've never met a judge that just really likes shaking hands with high schoolers, or any, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Take a minute to set up your work area. Move your student desks. It is usually okay to go move the student desks around so you and your partner kind of sit next to each other. It's not unusual to kind of even pull up another one if you got some books out or computers, whatever. And do that. Talk with the other team and the judge where you'll be speaking from. Sometimes there's a very clear podium area in the room. Sometimes you just put a desk and you're going to speak at the podium in what we have all agreed is the front of the room. Every classroom looks a little differently. Set up your space. You have a minute to do that. Please don't dilly-dally, because you need to get the round started. If you are the first affirmative, you should set up the online room at speechdrop.net. Go ahead and title it with what the name of the host school is. And the round number. So if you're at, say, for instance, Blue Valley Northwest, you would put BVNW, I don't know, dash round 1 or RD1 or number 1 or something like that, right? Title it something, the name of the tournament, what round you're in. There's not a rule on that, but it's kind of a nice way of just organizing your files. And if you're the affirmative, go ahead and organize them nicely. When you do that, it'll give you a long string of characters, 6 letters usually, of capital letters and lowercase letters. It's a room code. Go ahead and just write it on the board. Go up there and say, okay, the speech drop is capital W, lowercase r, 3, capital M, whatever it is. Just go ahead and write it up on the board there. Write it neatly, pay attention to the capitals and lowercase letters. That'll give your opponent something they get on there and share the files. Your judge, if they have a computer, might also hop onto the SpeechDrop.net, SpeechDrop.net, and go pull out files on it also. Copy that link to our team tournament tracker spreadsheet so we can refer back to it later. Now, some negative teams, if you're the affirmative team, some negative teams will ask you if you disclose. What they're asking you is if you will tell them what you are running before you start speaking so they can start organizing their files. It's kind of a normal question people ask before rounds. So it is debate etiquette that if you're asked, you will disclose. You're like, oh, yes, we run the so-and-so plan. At later levels of debate, teams pretty much end up sharing their information really publicly, so not disclosing doesn't actually make that much sense. When you are the negative team in the round, if you want to ask the other team if they disclose, that is perfectly acceptable to it. You don't have to. I don't care if you do it. The state of Kansas, our specific rules actually don't require you to disclose. You might as well go ahead and do it anyway because it might be setting you up for a type of argument you don't want to get into. So if you're negative, you can ask if you want. This might intimidate people who aren't used to the practice, and it's not good to put people on the emotional defensive, or if they start, calling foul out to the judge. They asked us to disclose beforehand, and that's a bunch of garbage. If the judge doesn't know the rules of debate, there aren't that many, but judge doesn't know the rules of debate. They don't know what the etiquette is. They're probably new to the round. So before the round even begins, all I'm saying is if you're going to ask, be cool about the ask and let it go if it's not something that you're going to, you're going to find out when the round starts anyway. You'll have a timer. It might be a timer on your phone. That's fine. You can use a timer on your phone. I like the kitchen timers. I like to go up there and just hit the beep, 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 beep of the kitchen timer because they get that was really loud into the microphone. Sorry about that. I like to do that. Honestly, I think the beeping, the beep, 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 beep is very impressive. And I don't just say that because I'm a Gen Xer and I knew when people actually used kitchen timers, but it should be, you should also time your opponent's speeches. You're going to time your own speech. You can go ahead and time your opponent's speeches. It's not rude. It's just kind of a double set of timers, keeps everybody honest. The other team is free to time yours as well, and you'll kind of all start them at the same time. Ready, go! And you start, synchronize them to it. If you're the first affirmative constructive, go ahead and upload that speech to SpeechDrop, walk to the podium, ask the judge if he or she is ready. You can also ask your opponent if they're ready. If anybody's not ready, I've always wondered about that. The other team should be adapting to you. You're like, oh no, I need another minute before my opponent gets it. If the judge is ready, start the round. Don't be rude about it, but just get going on it. And you push start on your timer the moment you start your speech. You don't really need to count it down. You don't need to be like this. I'm going to begin in 3, 2, 1, blurp, and then start talking. Just when you start talking, blurp, and go and do it. Subpoint C. When the round is over, when you finish with your round, the debate ends with the second affirmative rebuttal. That's the final speech in the round. And when it's over, it's actually kind of comical to watch. And this happens mostly with, in novice land. It sometimes happens in later debates. The second affirmative rebuttal goes and gives their speech. And then everybody just sits there. It's like they're waiting for one more speech. It's like, are we going to have a third negative? What are we going to do next? When the round is over, the round is over. You can, when that speech ends, when the 2AR is over, turn to your opponent and say, hey, good round. Even if it wasn't a very good round, go ahead and say that. It's like, when you're playing a group video game and you're like, good game, even when it's not a very good game. Go ahead and say, good round. It's kind of a nice way of just sort of acknowledging that the round happened and that you were there for it. Thank the judge. Judge, thanks for your time. See ya. You don't need to get up there and go shake their hand again. Remember, adults don't want to touch you. So just, thank the judge, pack up your stuff, and leave. On the flow sheets, on your note-keeping web sheets, your note-keeping sheets, not a web sheet, but on your note-keeping sheet, go ahead and write that, write your opponent's name on it. They were from Hill Valley, North-South, and you go ahead and you just write that on the sheet. And so you can keep track of it on your flow sheets. Keep those. We'll need them later. And you may leave the desks in place. Basically, the next team is going to come in. They're also going to have a debate in that room. They will also set up, so you can leave the debates you can leave the desks in the last round. If it's the last round of the tournament and you know that nobody else is coming in that room, you can go ahead and put the desks back if you see an obvious way that they go back. If you don't see an obvious way, it's not up to you to go figure out how to go rearrange the room. The host school will go figure that out. But if you can help them out, that's kind of a cool thing to do. But pack up your stuff and leave. And then check tabroom.com for the next schedule. If it's one of those tournaments you use tabroom.com, they will, if they are ready for you to go on to the next round, they will blast out the next round, and you can just go to that room. And you don't have to come back and check in with the coach at the lunchroom. If they have not blasted out the next round and you don't know where you're going the next round, come back to the lunchroom, come find the coach team. Sometimes there's lag between rounds. Sometimes it's pretty much just bang, bang, ready to go. But unless there's some reason to come back, you just go to your next round. That's fine to do. If it's already been posted. Now, if it's not, you come back to the St. James campsite. I want to say after the round, one of your main jobs is to go protect your reputation. Again, be the best person of yourself, the best version of yourself. You don't talk to anybody about the round but your coach. So you can go back to the lunchroom and go talk to the coach about it. Even then, I'm going to ask you to use a hushed voice because we just don't need to be blurting things around. If you got some question we can answer it kind of a low level. But you don't need to walk out and be like, oh my goodness, I just clobbered that team. They were so bad. Like, be the best version of yourself. Be cool about it because you probably didn't actually clobber that team. I've seen enough debates to know that very rarely is it a clobbering. Just be cool about it. Be cool, right? Subpoint D. After the final round. So novice tournaments are typically only about 5 rounds. Medalists are determined by the rankings after 5 rounds of play. Later tournaments, they might have out rounds where they go into quarterfinals and semifinals and finals. Those don't happen a lot in novice land. They're theoretically possible. It could happen. So novice tournaments usually only 5 rounds, and medalists are determined by rankings of the 5 rounds of play. When you are done after the 5 rounds, go pack up everything. Pack up the room if you know how to do it. If you can arrange the desks in the classroom, return to the position. If you can't do it, it's no big deal. Organize your flow sheets from all of the rounds together. You could probably say, okay, these were the ones who did round 1. These are the ones who did round 2. Mark them with the high school you competed against. And then come back to the St. James campsite after round 5 and find us in the lunchroom. Please stay dressed. Keep all of your clothes on. Sometimes you see boys start ripping their ties off and loosening their shirts. Please stay dressed. Keep all of your clothes on the whole time that you're there. If you are wearing your cute shoes and you want to slip into some sneakers, you are allowed to do that, but otherwise stay in your debate gear. Do not change into street clothes. Girls, like I said, if you need to switch shoes, that's okay, but please also stay in whatever your performance clothes are. Protect your reputation. Be the best version of yourself. There are other judges that are around. There are other coaches. It's actually sometimes you're surprised how often you see some of the same sets of judges in later tournaments. In totally unrelated tournaments, they'll pop up again because the world isn't that big. And they don't want to say oh yeah, that's the kid that finished round 5 and got his half undressed and looked drunk in the lunchroom at Hill Valley North South. And you're like, what the what? No, just be the best version of yourself. Keep your clothes all the way on. At this point, after round 5, your coach might be able to tell you a finish time. They might be able to say, okay, that's round 5. I think we're going to have an awards assembly in, 10 minutes. The awards assembly is going to take 15 minutes long. We can expect to be back on the bus and driving back to St. James in 30 minutes. Maybe. Or it's one of those, your parents are going to come pick you up because it was a Get Yourself There tournament. Call your parents now and tell them they're going to, be ready to pick you up in 45 minutes or something like that. After round 5, the coach might be able to estimate a finish time. We usually can't until round 5 is over, and kind of when all of round 5 is over. In case we're waiting on one late round or something like that, that'll delay the whole tournament to go there. The last phase is the awards ceremony. The awards ceremony is when the people who medaled will get their medals. The school award will be handed out. You will be exhausted. It's exhausting. It's the end of a debate tournament. You will actually be surprised how pooped you are. But please try to give your best attention to the presenters and the speakers because you're being the best version of yourself. There's a weird thing about debate that we recognize winners with a single clap, a one clap. It goes, and then, I'm doing that big because I got a microphone in front of me. They'll say in third place, code 4B from St. James Academy, it's Smith and Jones. And everyone will go one clap, right? And that's a way to recognize people, but, tournaments can be really long and award ceremonies can be really long, so it keeps it moving with the one clap up there. The last thing you'll hear, once all of the medalists are put out, the last thing you'll hear is they will announce sweepstakes. And sweepstakes is a strange word to say the overall team awards. And for these, it's basically like the composite score of the whole school, like all of the St. James teams, or a certain number of the St. James, whatever the rules of sweepstakes are. Every tournament's got their own thing. And for those, we will usually, those are some longer claps for third place and longer claps for second place, because it's hard to win a sweepstakes award. For first place, we like to go ahead and stand to go recognize the first place winner at sweepstakes, because it's very hard to win sweepstakes, and so that's really awesome. First, second, or third place worth giving, like, recognizing. Good job out there. If St. James Academy wins a sweeps trophy, it will be accepted by the highest ranking person on the team, which is determined by your NSDA points. So whoever the top ranking person on the team is, that's who goes and accepts the sweeps trophy from there. If St. James Academy team earns medals, if any debaters earn medals, we will take photos. They'll go on St. James social media, and you'll get famous. After the awards ceremony, we get to go home. Roman numeral number 13. I want to talk about the parts of I'm going to do the whole sentence again. Roman numeral 13, disadvantages. We talked about disadvantages in a previous class. Here we're going to go and reset into those. What are the parts of a disadvantage? The uniqueness, the link, the internal links, and the impacts, right? Those are the 4 things we're looking for in a disadvantage. Now, who runs disadvantages? Do affirmatives run disadvantages or negatives run disadvantages? Negatives run disadvantages. And they come up in the first negative constructive or the second negative constructive. Technically, they can happen in both, because if it's a constructive speech, you can construct arguments, so you can bring up DAs in both of them. Back in my day, when I was debating, the second negative was where all of the DAs came from. Practice has switched. Now we usually like to go put our DAs up in the first negative constructive. It's not against the rules to drop it in the second negative constructive, and sometimes there's an additional DA that might pop up as the round goes on. You're like, oh man, you're going to trigger something else. But we would like to go see this put out in the first round. And where do you find Disads in the packet? If you were in novice land, go look for our team Google Drive, go look for this year, and then go find the team novice subfolder into there, and you'll see all of them. The ones that are labeled DA are disadvantage arguments. The ones in like the national packet are entirely unstructured. Those are just sets of evidence on there, and they, if you're looking on the sidebar on the nav pane, they're popping up what all the component parts are, and then you can kind of mix and match and go make your speech document out of that. Or if you have a few of them set, sometimes St. James will pre-write a couple, and then we've got those. We'll put those in our SJA novice packet on those. That's where you can find disadvantages. If you're a negative team in a round, you should run a DA. There's almost never a round that you don't run a DA in. So get ready to go those. I love debate tournaments. I love them. They are fun. They are the cornerstone of my life's work, and they're great. I can't wait to take you on them. I can't wait to teach this game about how to go play, learn more about argumentation, and it's going to be awesome. Make sure you like and subscribe. God bless you.